Hello, good morning and welcome to Unacademy, a one-stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Welcome to the Hindu news analysis for the date 17th July 2024. Now, let's have a look at the list of the articles that I'll be discussing today. I've chosen totally 8 articles for today's discussion. 7 are from International Edition of Hindu, and 1 article, I'll be clubbing this article with the first discussion or the discussion of the first article that I'll do. I've taken this article from Business Standard, which appeared on 1st July 2024. So the articles are problem with expenditures done by billionaires. There's a very large or a big article that has been provided under the text and context page. I'll club this with one of the survey reports regarding the expenditures that we are doing as Indians on the weddings that we conduct in a year. Second article, rechecking of the votes. This is being done for the first time based on the Supreme Court judgment or the order issued by the Supreme Court of India. Third, there is a very nice photograph in Delhi edition as well as the international edition of Hindu newspaper today regarding Halwa Ceremony. Let's have a look at certain points regarding Halwa Ceremony. Fourth, centralized examinations have not aced the test. The editorial that has come today regarding the National Testing Agency. We will have a look at certain important points which are mentioned in the article, because already sufficient discussion, repeated discussion has happened in the Hindu news analysis on NTA by other faculties as well. GTRI raises concerns over the precious metal imports. Sixth article, defense indigenization. The announcement has been done for the 5th list by the government of India. We'll understand certain very important security related aspects under the article. And the 7th article, yesterday we discussed regarding the gig economy or the gig worker bill that has been proposed by the Karnataka government, and today's international edition as well as the Delhi edition of Hindu, there is a very big article regarding the proposal of the Karnataka government to provide for local reservation. Let's not be worried about the provisions of the bill, because this is not the first time that a state government has introduced a bill or a law to provide local reservation. Let's have a look at the overview discussion, larger picture regarding the localization, or let's say the local reservation, which is being proposed by many of the state governments. So these are the total 8 articles that I'll be discussing today. Before I go forward, every day after the analysis is over, based on the topics which are covered in the analysis, we are creating a quiz and uploading the quiz questions in the Telegram. Now, if you want to attempt those particular questions, all you need to do is scan this QR code, join our Telegram channel, and after the analysis over, please do attend the quiz. This will consolidate your learning regarding the current affairs articles that we are looking in the analysis. Now, let me start with the first article, the combination of 2 articles now. The problem with the billionaires' consumption, and second, India's wedding industry, second largest in the world now. This is the second largest in the world. Now, those who are wondering, sir, what is the importance of this article? Does UPSC ask questions related to these kind of articles? Because some of you might feel, if you start discussing regarding weddings that are happening in recent times of billionaires, rich people in India, that will be a personal attack on those particular people. Not at all. Let's restrict our discussion to general viewpoint, the general aspects related to, let's say, such types of expenditures. Because let me show you a kind of question that has been asked in the UPSC mains. Please look at the question here. The capitalism has guided the world economy to unprecedented prosperity. However, it often encourages short-sightedness and contributes to wide disparities between the rich and poor. This is the best statement that will illustrate what is actually happening in Indian economy today. In this light, would it be correct to believe and adopt capitalism for bringing inclusive growth in India? Discuss. This was the question asked by the UPSC earlier under the GS paper 3. Now let's come back to the point. What are the important areas that you need to focus, you need to understand, and which, let's say, GS paper you need to focus upon? Whenever you talk about income inequality, wealth inequality, etc., the questions can be asked under GS paper 1 as well as GS paper 3. And in fact, you can use this particular data if at all, related questions are being asked even in the essay paper as well as ethics paper. Mind you, there is a moral dilemma that all of us will face. If we have lot of money, imagine you are a billionaire, I am a billionaire. Imagine. Nothing wrong with imagining. So if we are billionaires, of course we would want to spend lot of money on certain types of goods which are specifically called as giffen goods. And in fact, the terminology not specifically mentioned, but there is a term which has been mentioned in the article, that is the goods with conspicuous consumption. The goods with conspicuous consumption. And the idea of a conspicuous consumption is associated with the concept of giffen goods in the economy. So if we are billionaires, of course we want to spend lot of money on luxury products, especially the high-end luxury products. So the moral dilemma is, in this situation, is it fair? Is it ethical for us to spend so much of money on such types of goods, such types of events, etc., when large amount of population in India finds it very difficult to get access to nutrition? When large amount of population in India is surviving on basic minimum expenditures. So again, reiterating my point, the same can be asked even under the ethics paper as well. Now what are the arguments here? Please understand the arguments. Let me put all of this in a context of the pro arguments as well as the counter arguments and the larger implications or larger concepts associated with this. There are certain set of experts who argue that there is no need for the rich people to spend so much amount of money. And opposite to that viewpoint, there are also certain experts who will say you cannot control them. They have money, they will be able to spend, or they should be allowed to spend. So what are the arguments in opposition to? In opposition to the rich people spending money on these kinds of events. What are the arguments? Point number 1, this is not morally correct. This is not morally correct. It is not ethical to spend so much amount of money when so many people in India are absolutely poor. First argument. Second argument, when they will spend so much amount of money, rather than spending on such events, they should spend on investment. Understand the argument here? There are two angles. One is investment and the second one is consumption. One is investment and the second one is consumption. That is, please understand, rather than spending, let's say, thousands of crores of rupees on certain events, certain goods, etc., why don't we actually spend money to invest in the market? Let's say by purchasing machineries, to purchase a machinery, to set up a manufacturing facility, etc. In that particular situation, rather than spending money on an event, if you spend money to purchase a machinery, set up a manufacturing facility, this will lead to employment generation. Correct? This will lead to employment generation. Higher employment will lead to more salaries or incomes earned by this population. And when the population will earn more incomes or the salaries, automatically the demand for the goods and services will start rising up. And this will benefit the whole Indian economy because higher demand for goods and services will lead to higher production. Higher production. And again, higher production essentially means higher investment, higher employment. You'll observe a virtuous cycle. But now some of you will basically say, sir, wait a minute. Even when we consume, don't you think this will lead to a virtuous cycle? The experts argue that yes, in certain time period, only limited to that particular time period, there might be a rise in the demand for the goods and services. That is essentially, instead of spending, let's say 1000 crore rupees in setting up of a manufacturing facility, if I spend this 1000 crore rupees in an event to purchase or to spend on a particular, let's say, event, in such situation, no doubt, it will lead to creation of employment. In fact, this is one of the big arguments which are given by experts who will support these kind of expenditures. It will lead to creation of jobs. It will lead to creation of employment. But that is a short term. That is a creation which is done for a short term. For example, today if I spend money on an event, the people who are serving food, the caterers will get certain orders from my side. But after the event is over, they will not have any kind of, let's say, the services requirement now. Rather than that, why don't we spend money on creating investments or, let's say, creating assets that will actually lead to higher employment and that will have a long-term impact compared to consumption. This is a second argument opposing these kinds of, let's say, expenditure. Third, the argument is, with rich people, with billionaires spending this much amount of money, it can lead to demonstration effect. One more very important concept, please be very careful. It will lead to demonstration effect. What do you understand by the term demonstration effect? If people are spending money like this, they will purchase cars, they will purchase a house, they will purchase branded products, they will spend a lot of money to get their children married off, etc. That will rub off, that will basically influence others in the society to follow in the same footsteps. And nothing wrong with this. I hope you understand. Nothing wrong if you want to behave in the same way. But the problem will arise in the middle class households and the lower income households who will try to emulate the same, and in the process of that, they will fall into a debt. I hope you understand. To basically emulate the same thing may not be as extravagant as the Ambani family marriage, but basically when these kinds of marriages will happen in the, let's say, rural areas or even the urban areas, there will be certain expectations which are there from other side of the family which is getting or which is involved in the marriage. And to basically cater to such demands, what would happen is, this house or the person or the family which is involved in the marriage, they will borrow huge amount of money. They will get the marriage done according to the expectations, and as a result of this, they will fall into the debt. And this is one of the biggest worries which has been raised by the social commentators. Right? This will basically push the households into the debt. This is basically called as a demonstration effect. In fact, just to give you more clarity, there is a new concept which has arisen in India, which is called as a marry now, pay later. I don't know how many of you have heard of this. Marry now, pay later. Under the concept of marry now, pay later, many of the fintechs are entering into tie-ups with the 5-star hotels, where if you want to have a marriage in the 5-star hotel, you know the cost would be very high. It is not affordable looking at the current structure of the salary or the amount that you are earning. The 5-star hotel will tell you, don't worry, we have a facility. Marry now, pay later. We have a tie-up, just like buy now, pay later. We will spend money, we will provide the facilities to you today. You get married, but make the payment in the future, basically like a borrowing concept. And please understand this, the social commentators or the experts basically say, might basically push these families or the couples who do not have sufficient means to finance these kinds of activities to borrow huge amount of money. And as such, already the concern that has been raised by Reserve Bank of India is the household debt. The household debt is already high. The household debt is already high in case of India, and this might further push the debt of the household. Now, the fifth very important point, much more important. According to the survey which has been conducted by Jeffries, which is given in the data here, the marriage industry in case of India, annually there are more than 80 lakh to 1 crore marriages which happen in India. The total amount of expenditure that all of us, that is the Indian households, do in conducting these 1 crore, around let's say 1 crore marriages annually, the total amount is $130 billion. $130 billion. That is, in terms of rupees, we are spending more than 10 trillion rupees. And if you are still struggling to wrap your head around this particular number of $130 billion, this is the second highest expenditure that a country does on marriages. The largest is done by China, $170 billion. And understand, much more surprising factor is that the report says that in India, the amount of money that we spend on marriages is almost twice the amount that we spend on education. I hope you understand, right? Absorb this information. The amount of money that we spend on marriages, the expenditure that we do on marriages, it is much higher, twice the amount that we spend on education. If you educate a child, if you spend money on education of a child, it is basically an asset that you are creating over a period of time. This child which is going to get better education can get better job opportunities. It will help not only the child to move out of the poverty once they start working, the whole family can move out of the poverty because of a better job that they might get. But rather than spending more money on education, we end up spending twice the amount of money in marriages. Now you will ask me, sir, what is wrong with that? Compare that with USA. Compare this number with USA. In case of USA, the report says the amount of money USA spends on education, the households in USA spend more than twice the amount of money that they spend on marriages on education. Their education is a priority, whereas in case of India, it is exactly opposite in terms of expenditure on marriages as well as education. So this is one side of the argument. What is the counter argument? What is the argument of some of the, let's say, the social observers who will simply say, let's not hinder all of this? They will argue that first one, in capitalism, it is very common to have income inequality as well as wealth inequality. Very common. This is one of the features. They say this is one of the features of capitalism itself. So when somebody will earn lot of money through legal means, how they spend the money, that is their choice. That is entirely their choice. You cannot curtail them. In fact, there is a very beautiful statement that is given in the article. It says, the modern capitalism, the current situation of capitalism, there is a right for the billionaires to earn huge amount of wealth. But we are not able to enforce a duty on them where they will invest money back into the system. Because according to John Maynard Keynes, one of the very well-known economists, according to Keynes, there is a very effective social contract between the rich as well as poor in a capitalistic society. That is, the person who is rich, no doubt will take away most of the profits earned by the companies. They will take away the profits. But more the amount of profits they have earned, if they invest back into the society, if they invest back into, let's say, the industries, manufacturing facilities, etc., more will be benefit that the society will be getting from it. That is essentially, let's say, I'm a businessman, I'll make a profit of 10 crore rupees this year. Rather than using the profits to spend money on luxury products, spend money on given goods, etc., if I spend most of it again by reinvesting in the market, I will be creating more jobs. There is social welfare because of that. And that rule, the John Maynard Keynes call this rule as a golden rule. That is, under golden rule, whatever profits are earned by the investors or the businessmen should be reinvested in the market. But because we are not able to hold the businessmen accountable now, accountable in the sense, they do not have a sense of duty towards the society now. What they will do is, they will use a lot of these profits to splurge, to basically spend on luxury products. Nothing wrong with that, but we are not following that particular balance that is part of or the features of the capitalism. This is one of the problems related to modern capitalism that we are following and other countries are also following. Second, marriage is a private event. Marriage is a private event. Who are we and others to question how much money they want to spend on their marriage? That is also a legal point. It is their private event. Just like you do not wish somebody interfering in your private event, they will also not like others such as you and me commenting on their private events. That is the second viewpoint. Third viewpoint, it is the system which has created inequality. It is not the rich people who have created inequality. It is a system. They have been able to work hard. They have been able to leverage or take the advantage, mind you, take the advantage of the processes that are present, and legally they have been able to earn sufficient amount of money. Fourth very important point, already mentioned, if I am spending lot of money on an event, it simply means it is going to create employment opportunities for other population as well. Caterers will be getting the benefit of this. The transportation company will be getting the benefit because we will put lot of orders, right? Other designers, right? Let's say the beauticians, etc. Lot of people, stakeholders who are part of this ecosystem will also get the benefit. So these are some of the arguments which have been provided as a counter to these kinds of, let's say, events or the expenditures done by the billionaires. So this is the sum total of whatever has been provided here in these two articles. Please be very, very careful. Questions can be asked in the GS paper 1, can be asked in ethics paper, can be asked in GS paper 3 Indian economy as well. Now there's a term called as giffen goods here. What is a giffen good? Please understand, under law of demand, generally when you discuss the idea of a law of demand, the price as well as the demand, the price of a commodity as well as the quantity demanded generally move in opposite direction, inverse relationship. But in case of giffen goods, the price as well as the quantity demanded for a commodity will move in the same direction. And giffen goods, please remember, these are very, very luxurious products. These are very, very luxurious products. Okay, right? So okay, just a correction here. It is not giffen good, it is a Veblen good. Veblen good. Okay, many of you will ask me, sir, what is the difference between a giffen good and a Veblen good? Giffen goods are consumed by very poor people, and Veblen goods are consumed by very, very rich people, right? So difference is there. My mistake, please make a note of this. Okay, let me go to the next, let's say, assignment to all of you. Assignment number 7, there is a need for the government to rework the FTAs based on the changing global scenario. Elaborate in 15 marks, 250 words. Now to write an answer, you can use these articles that I have provided here. First is India improves on its FTA template, and second one is India must review FTA strategy. I have given two articles, editorials from different newspapers. Use this and write an answer. And some of you would be confused, sir, why are you writing assignment number 7? Why are you writing assignment number 7 here? What about assignment number 6, 5, 4, etc.? These are the earlier questions that I have given in the form of assignment. You can have a look at it. And based on that, I am saying that this is assignment number 7. Now, many of the students will feel the concepts of economics very difficult to comprehend, etc. For such students, we have started special class series by the title Economy for Beginners. 2 classes are already over. The third class will be conducted today at 12 p.m. on Unacademy app. Please do join if you want to understand the basics of the economy. In addition to that, if you want additional information regarding the different articles that come in different newspapers, the answer writing, let's say, assistance in form of, let's say, articles as well as the question, the notes on the special sessions that I take, all of this is available in this Telegram channel. Please do scan and join the Telegram channel. Done? So let me go forward now. Second article, candidates get multiple choices to recheck voting in recently held polls. Recently held polls. Now what is the discussion here? Listen to me very carefully. Supreme Court of India in 2024, April 2024, passed an order. It was passed by Justice Khanna and Justice Datta. Justice Khanna and Justice Datta. Now, what was the order? It gave a new, let's say, the avenue. It provided an option for the runner-ups in the elections to get certain closure regarding how EVMs are working. Because mind you, the background to this particular judgment is in the month of March 2023. In the month of March 2023, ADR, Association for Democratic Reforms, approached Supreme Court of India and filed a petition. Their argument was that to have a free and fair elections, there is a need to basically count and compare 100% of VVPAT slips, VVPAT papers or the slips with whatever has been the voting that is counted as a part of EVM machine. Now, basic idea is simple here. Whenever you have voted, you must have observed it, you will press one of these buttons. You will press one of these buttons to register your vote. And once you have registered the vote, what generally happens is there is a paper which is generated, a slip is generated in this VVPAT machine, and you can see that whether the vote that you have provided, it is the same as the vote or the paper that has been generated under the VVPAT machine or in the VVPAT machine. It is just a confirmation tool for me to ensure that to whomsoever, to whichever party I voted, to whichever candidate I voted by pressing the button on the machine, same person, same party has received the vote, and that is reflected in the piece of paper that will be generated in the VVPAT machine. And this VVPAT paper is visible to you for 7 seconds, and then it will basically fall into this box or the bin. And later, please understand, later Election Commission of India arbitrarily they will choose 5, right, let's say 5 polling booths, and in these particular 5 polling booths they will compare whether the machine, that is the voting machine, this is the ballot unit, whatever votes are registered to political parties or the members or the candidates in the ballot unit, are they same as whatever has been generated in the VVPAT machine. So arbitrarily they will choose 5, right, let's say voting booths or let's say the polling booths as such. Now you will ask me, sir, why 5? Initially the Election Commission of India said, I will take 1. And in fact they asked the Indian Statistical Institute to recommend which is the best method, to basically find out, to basically ensure that there is a right voting and registration or the voting that has been provided by let's say the voters is going to the right candidate. What should be the best sample size? ISI, based on the recommendations of Indian Statistical Institute in 2018, Election Commission of India said, I will take 1 booth. Later it was expanded to cover 5 booths, and the 5 booths are arbitrarily selected. This is what is followed by Election Commission of India. But there were different pleas in the Supreme Court of India by political parties from ADR etc., which demanded that 1, there should be 100% of the VVPATs slips should be compared with the EVM machine to ensure that there is free and fair elections. That was the first plea. Second plea, some of the political parties basically stated that we should not use all of it. We should go back to the paper ballot. We should go back to the paper ballot system. That was the second plea. There was one more plea which basically stated that once the paper is generated in the VVPAT, the slip is generated, rather than the slip falling into the box, now the voter should be allowed to take the slip, go to a box and drop this particular slip in the box. So there were different pleas which were held by or which were heard by Supreme Court of India. And Supreme Court of India in April 2024 has issued a judgment regarding the pleas. Supreme Court of India stated that we are going to reject all these pleas. Whatever pleas have been filed, whatever petitions have been filed, we are going to reject all the pleas in these petitions. Now, to ensure there is better election transparency, fairness of the elections, to ensure all of it, Supreme Court of India has asked Election Commission of India to introduce a new system. Under the new system, if a losing candidate, that is a runner-up candidate, the candidate who has got the second highest votes, because he is a losing candidate now they might simply choose certain EVM machines, specifically 5% of total EVM machines which have been used in this constituency. I repeat, maximum 5% of the EVM machines which have been used in this constituency, they can choose them arbitrarily based on the numbers or the polling booths, etc. And these particular EVM machines, we will have to conduct the checks and verifications. We'll have to essentially check whether the votes that are registered on the EVM are the same as the paper trail which has been generated under the VVPAT. That is the first very important change that has been introduced by the Election Commission of India now. This was ordered by Supreme Court of India. In fact, Supreme Court of India also ordered second very important thing. That is, there is a machine, there is a very small machine called as a symbol loading machine. Symbol loading machine or symbol loading unit, SLU. What is the use of SLU? This is the ballot unit, this is the control unit, and this is the VVPAT machine. According to the Election Commission of India now, once the voting is done, for the next 45 days, we will keep all of them under security, under safety. Reason being, if any losing candidate will go to the court and file an election petition, in that case, we need all of these 3 units. But the Supreme Court of India now says in this 2024 judgment, in addition to preserving for 45 days all the 3 units, now start preserving one more unit which is called as SLU, symbol loading unit. And what is the importance of this particular symbol loading unit? Basically, in the VVPAT machine, we need to install the name of the candidate as well as the party symbol. We need to install that. And this installation into the VVPAT is done by symbol loading unit. We will connect the symbol loading unit as shown in this picture. We will connect the symbol loading unit to a laptop, and from the laptop, bitmap images and other required data is transferred into SLU. And once all of this is done, the SLU will be connected to the VVPAT, and this data will be transferred to the VVPAT. This is basically the SLU importance that is being introduced by Election Commission of India. Supreme Court has ordered that just like you protect or maintain the control unit data, ballot unit as well as VVPAT for 45 days, now start even with the SLU. Keep the SLU as well for the next 45 days from the announcement of the election results. And this is the second important order that has been issued by the Supreme Court of India. Now, some of you might be thinking, sir, why Election Commission of India is not going for 100% VVPAT reading with, let's say, the EVM machine reading? Why are we not comparing both of them? It will be very clear, very transparent, etc. Election Commission says that is not required. What is the proof? Where is the proof that there is a concern regarding this? There is absolutely no proof. In addition to that, if you want to do that, the time taken for counting will start getting extended. We will require additional infrastructure. We will require additional manpower. All of these are the concerns which have been raised by Election Commission of India, which have been accepted by Supreme Court of India. Right? So these are certain very important things that you need to note regarding the second article. In addition to this, the Supreme Court in the 2024 judgment also mentions that can we have QR codes? I repeat, can we have QR codes on the VVPAT paper? That is, on this particular piece of paper, can we have QR codes which can be directly scanned with the machine so that we understand whenever we are trying to audit these VVPATs with EVMs, we can directly do it through the machines rather than physically counting them by using of the people. That is one suggestion that has been provided by Supreme Court of India. So these are certain things regarding the second article. Please make a note of it. The third article, two pictures, same event, two different angles. One picture is from international edition of the Hindu. Second picture is from Delhi edition of Hindu. What is this event for which the picture I am displaying here? This is called as Halwa Ceremony. Remember this. This is called as Halwa Ceremony. And what is the importance of Halwa Ceremony? Once the budget preparation is over, I'll repeat, once the budget preparation is over, we will send the budget documents for printing purposes. And the Halwa Ceremony, which is conducted in the North Block, basically represents the completion of preparation of the budget and the start of printing of budget documents. And right, I hope all of you know this. 23rd, in the next week, 23rd, the union government is going to announce the budget, that is the union budget for the current financial year now. This will be the first budget for the third term of Modi government. But more importantly, understand the importance of Halwa Ceremony here. More importantly, the Halwa Ceremony also represents an event where all the personnel who are involved in the preparation of the budget, all the people who are involved in the preparation of the budget, now they will be confined to the North Block itself. That is, they will not be allowed to go outside and interact with other people. Reason being, some of you will basically say, sir, what is this? Why are they holding them like this? Reason is, back in the year 1950, there is an importance to all of this. Back in the year 1950, the budget documents were leaked. And because of the leakage of the budget documents, the then Finance Minister John Mathai had to resign. And post that only, we have introduced this system where the people who are involved in the budget preparation, they will not be allowed to go out after the budget documents are ready, till the presentation of the union budget is done on the floor of the parliament. So this is one more article regarding Halwa Ceremony. Please understand. Now based on this, I have given an MCQ. This is an assignment, MCQ assignment number 1. Consider the following statements. The term budget is mentioned in the Constitution of India. Second statement, the Lok Sabha has the powers to discuss and vote on expenditure charged and expenditure made on Consolidated Fund of India. Third statement, Article 112 provides for an interim budget in election year. 3 statements are there. What is the right answer? How many of these statements are correct? If you know the answer, please comment in the section below. Let me go to the next article. Centralized examinations have not aced the test. There are 2 experts, or let's say the previous or the ex-bureaucrats, who have written an article, that is editorial, regarding the performance of National Testing Agency. What are the important points? NTA was established in 2017, and over a period of time, Government of India has centralized many of these examinations which are supposed to be conducted for professional courses. The argument of the government was, we want to standardize the system, because from one state to another state, syllabus changes. One state to another state, the requirement of knowledge to become a doctor, to become an engineer, will keep on changing based on the syllabus. The examination pattern changes. The methodology of conducting exams is changing. In order to ensure that there is a standard level that is required to become, let's say, a doctor, government said, let's centralize these exams. And that is the precise reason the National Testing Agency, which was set up, the Government of India has allocated the function of conducting around 15 exams for the professional courses to this National Testing Agency. But in recent times, I'm pretty sure all of you know what has happened regarding the exams that have been conducted by the NTA for different professional courses. It has been seen that there has been paper leakage. It has been seen that there are certain concerns raised regarding how rankings have been provided, how grace marks are provided, etc. All of these have raised a concern regarding the performance of NTA. Whether having only one agency like this, having a centralized system, is it beneficial for Indian education system now? That is a question which has been raised by many of the experts. And to address these particular issues, already there is a change in the guard, that is the head of the NTA has been changed by Government of India. In addition to this, Government of India has also set up a committee which is headed by the former chairman of ISRO, J Radhakrishnan. And this committee has been asked to look into the structure of NTA, what is, let's say the roles and responsibilities of every personnel in NTA. Can we use any kind of a technology, or should we make any changes to the technology to improve, let's say the quality, credibility of such examinations, etc., etc. So these are the different terms of references which have been allocated to this particular committee by Government of India. Having said so, the authors of the article mention that there is a better way to resolve all of it. One, Government of India by now should have announced a retest. You may agree or disagree regarding the recommendation. I am just telling you what are the recommendations. So Government of India should already have announced retest of these NEET exams. Why? More than 20 lakh students' future is online. And because such a huge demand is there for such examination, that is 1 lakh seats are there, more than 20 lakh students are writing the exam, there will be certain elements in the society, criminal elements in the society, who would always want to make certain profits, to make certain gains because of such examination. That is, let's say through paper leaks, by, let's say trying to rig the whole system so that the people who have paid money to them, they'll be able to get better rankings, etc. So there is always this element of criminal, let's say the intent, that can dilute, that can basically become a problem for such types of examinations. So what is the solution then? One, they recommend that we should go for a retest so that the fairness, transparency in the system can be shown to the students and the credibility of the organization will improve. And because the Government of India so far has not announced this, the authors are saying because the government is not announcing all of this, is the government having doubts regarding the credibility of the organization itself? Because in recent times you must have seen, because of the technology, if the paper leaks in one region, it's very easy that the leaked paper will spread to other regions as well. In today's newspaper itself, there is a headline: the person who took the paper from the trunk of National Testing Agency has been arrested. But then in that particular case, how is the Government of India assuming that the leakage has happened only in certain regions of India, certain states in India? It could have easily spread to other parts of India because of, let's say, the WhatsApp, Telegram, etc. How is the government assuming that? Second, rather than centralizing the test like this, why don't we decentralize now? Why don't we simply decentralize? That is, in essence, the institutions which are controlled by the central government, which are owned by the central government, let the central government conduct a separate test for it. And the institutions which are controlled by the state governments, owned by the state governments, let the individual states conduct test for it. And to ensure that there is a standard followed, whatever is the type of test paper, what kind of experts are supposed to be used, the methodology of the test, etc., it can be standardized by central government, which will be followed by the center as well as the states. There should be better utilization of technology in order to, let's say, improve the cyber security. Better experts should be used to create these kind of question papers and, let's say, evaluate these particular answer sheets, etc. So all of these are the recommendations that have been provided by these ex-bureaucrats regarding the examination, or let's say the recent debacle regarding the centralized examination. Now let me go to the next article. GTRI voices concerns over rise in the precious metal imports under UAE FTA. What is the discussion here? Listen to me carefully. Government of India signed an agreement, SEPA agreement, with UAE. SEPA stands for Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. It's a type of a trade agreement. And as a result of signing of this SEPA, Government of India has provided lot of tariff exemptions to precious metals which are coming from UAE into India. That is, earlier government or even today, the most favored nation rate, MFN rate, that is common, generally applicable to all these precious metal imports from other trading partners is 15%. Government of India said, if these will come from UAE, I will provide 1% exemption in case of gold. I will provide 7% exemption in case of silver. Point number 1. Point number 2, in case of the precious metals, government also said, for example, silver, over a period of time, that is in a span of next 8 years, will simply bring down the tariff rate to 0%. Point number 3, now with these kind of tariff relaxations provided to UAE, we have seen that the imports of the gold as well as imports of silver have skyrocketed. The silver itself, imports has increased by more than 200% in the last 1 year after signing and implementation of SEPA. And the cause of concern which has been raised by this paper is that, listen to me very carefully. Under this agreement, there is a provision called as rules of origin. There is a provision called as rules of origin, ROO, rules of origin. And according to the rules of origin, the exporter of these precious metals, let's say from UAE, will have to certify that there is at least 3% value addition that is done by them. They'll have to certify that at least a certain amount of value addition is done in UAE and then it is exported. Reason being, UAE exports silver, but what they do is they will import silver from some other countries, right, add value and then export it to India. Which means, I hope you understand, the imports of silver from UAE are violating this rules of origin provision. And not just this, understand the next implication. Earlier when the silver used to be imported from UAE into other ports into India, other ports of India, the officials, the authorities there raised a concern regarding certification. That is value addition rules of origin certificate. Now over a period of time, what is observed is, rather than silver being imported into India from other ports, most of the silver that is coming into India is coming from Gift City IFSC. Gift City IFSC exchange. And this GTIR says is basically circumventing, that is, they are abusing the provisions of the SEPA agreement. They are abusing the provision. There is no proof to show that value addition is happening in UAE. They are simply exporting and we are simply importing. And not just that, in the Gift City IFSC, very few number of importers are actually allowed to import this silver. And this is concentrating, the imports of silver is being concentrated by few of these, let's say, the houses which are involved in the jewelry or the precious metals. Third concern is, Government of India has reduced the tariff. With the tariff reduction, the imports have increased for gold as well as silver. And as a result of this, Government of India is losing huge amount of tax receipts. The government is losing huge amount of tax receipts. Essentially, the report says the tax arbitrage is being misused or abused by various exporters and importers. So this report calls for scrutiny of these imports which are being done under SEPA. Okay, next, 1048 crore defense items to be procured from Indian entities. This article was there in international edition but was not given in Delhi edition. But what is this discussion? Understand this. Historically, if you talk about defense sector, the Government of India has controlled the defense sector and has allowed the public sector enterprises, the entities owned by Government of India, to manufacture and sell these particular defense products in India. But post 1991, Government of India started liberalizing various sectors, and one such sector which was focused by the Government of India was a defense sector. In the year 2001, Government of India made changes to the policies and started allowing domestic private sector entities to participate and manufacture defense products which are used by the armed forces in India. And the biggest reform was actually done very recently, that is in the year 2020 by Government of India. In the year 2020, the government amended defense acquisition procurement rules. Defense acquisition rules made certain changes in the year 2020. And according to this particular change of the policy of Government of India, now government would be promoting indigenization. Government would be promoting indigenization of defense products or defense, right? Let's say the equipments. What do you mean by indigenization here? Rather than importing these defense products into India, we will try to procure these products from companies which are manufacturing in the domestic market. I hope you understand. India is one of the biggest buyers of arms in the international market. And at that particular area itself, it is one of the biggest importers as well. The Government of India has a huge amount of expenditure that is allocated in every budget, where large amount of money is spent on procuring these products itself, that is the equipments which are there in the defense sector, such as weapons, such as let's say technology, etc. So argument of Government of India was, rather than being dependent on imports majorly, why don't we promote production of this in the domestic market itself? And that's the reason in the 2020 government promoted the idea of indigenization. Having said so, this concept of indigenization is not new in India. In fact, back in the year 1990 itself, there was a committee which was set up, which was headed by APJ Abdul Kalam. APJ Abdul Kalam. This panel was called as Self-Reliance Review Committee. Self-Reliance Review Committee. And if you followed the recommendations, the committee recommended that if you do all of this, the indigenization, which was somewhere around 30%, right, back in the year 92 and 93, the indigenization levels would be reaching to up to 70% by 2005. So this was the committee recommendation. We were not able to reach the target which was given by the committee. So in the year 2020, Government of India started making huge number of changes. And mind you, this was also the time period when the Government of India introduced the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliance, Atmanirbhar Bharat. So one very important change was made, that is indigenization promotion. In addition to this, government also made changes regarding FDI policy. If you are a foreign company which wants to be involved in manufacturing of defense products, the government said up to 74% of the investment will be allowed through automatic route. And you are allowed to invest even up to 100%. But that 100% FDI in the defense sector would be allowed only after government approval. So 74% automatic and 100% approval route. That was a second very important change that was announced by the government. Third very important change, government announced a defense corridor. They announced a defense corridor in two states, UP and Tamil Nadu, again regarding promotion of production of defense products itself. So a lot of these particular changes have been announced by the government in order to ensure that rather than being heavily dependent on the import of the defense products, we will promote manufacturing of that in the domestic market. Defense forces will procure them from the domestic market, and that is the idea of indigenization. So Government of India so far has announced, including the yesterday's one, Government of India, that is the DPSUs have announced 5 positive list of indigenization. In addition to that, Department of Military Affairs also has announced 5 list of indigenization. That is basically called as PLI. Please be very careful, it is called as PLI, positive list of indigenization. This PLI is different compared to the other PLI, production linked incentive. So totally 5 plus 5 from 2 different departments. And as a result of this announcement, the government says, right, thousands of these particular products are being manufactured in the domestic market. Now, some of you might be thinking, sir, what is the advantage of all of it? What is the benefit of all of this? One, government requires huge amount of acquisition of these products. It is not because we want to become, let's say we want to purchase because we have money. It is not because of that. It is a security imperative for India. It is a security imperative. It is not a choice. It is a compulsion for us. Because of, let's say, neighboring requirements, because of the neighboring countries and the overtures, the activities that are conducted by our neighboring countries, we are forced to protect ourselves by purchasing, by investing so much amount of money in defense sector. Second, if you start promoting production of these goods in the domestic market, investment will increase. Second, employment generation will happen. Third, if you start producing in the domestic market, import dependence will come down. So the outflow of dollars will be able to save certain amount of dollars. And not just this, it will be promoting self-reliance or Atmanirbharta for Indian economy. In addition to this, Government of India's fiscal deficit, because they are spending money in the domestic market now, that is through indigenization, the fiscal deficit, because of lower expenditure, the fiscal deficit is also expected to come down. So with objective of all of this, with trying to achieve all of these objectives, government is promoting the concept of defense products indigenization. This was given in PIB yesterday. It was given in international edition of Hindu, but not given in Delhi edition. Now related to this, the second assignment. The government has set up which of the following portal to partner with private sector to promote indigenization efforts. Is it NSWS? Is it Prapti portal? Is it Srijan portal? Or is it none of the above? What is the right option? Please do let me know in the comment section. Next article, the last one by the way. The Karnataka bill seeks to create 50% quota for local residents in management post. Now let's not discuss the details of this particular bill because this is just a bill and from a state government by the way. But let's look at the larger picture here. What is the larger picture? Is it the state of Karnataka? Is it the first one in India to promote something of this sort? That is basically the reservation to local population. Local reservation. Is it the first state in India? Absolutely no. Even before Karnataka government, even before the same government back in the year 2020 has proposed something like this. Even before 2020 when Karnataka government proposed something of this nature, Andhra Pradesh government has done the same thing. Madhya Pradesh government also has tried the same thing. And very recently, the Haryana government, right, Haryana government's bill was actually struck down, struck down by the High Court of the Punjab. Right, so I hope you understand, this is nothing new in the discussion related to the local reservation. But now the question arises, why are the state governments trying to do this? What is the objective? And if they try to do that, what is the concern associated with that? Generally, whenever the state governments will try to implement local reservation bills, their argument is, one, there is a rising resentment. There is a rising, let's say, resentment amongst the local population. They are unhappy with the population coming from outside the state and taking away their jobs. There is a rising resentment against the government of that particular day. So we want to cool down. We want to basically reduce that unrest. Second, the state government says we are very much within the purview. Under the Constitution of India, we have the power to do so. That is the second argument done by the state governments. Third, if the state government will provide land, if the state government will provide lot of tax exemptions, etc. to a private sector company, why shouldn't the state government also impose restrictions regarding employment on them? Right? They will try to do that. So these are some of the arguments which have been put forward by the state governments whenever they are trying to implement such policies of local reservation. This is also used or referred to in one more way, the son of the land, right? The son of the land, that is local population reservation. Having said so, there are certain counter arguments as well. right? What does the High Court generally say? For example, in case of the Punjab High Court, what did the High Court observe? The High Court mentioned that the state government of Haryana, right, because it is High Court for Punjab and Haryana, the state government of Haryana, by implementing such a bill, has basically it has overshot its functions. It doesn't come under the purview of the state government to impose such restrictions. That is the first one. Second one, there are various articles in the Constitution of India. There is one article, Article 16, which talks about residence. There is one article, Article 19, which again talks about right to profess or right seek work, movement across India, etc. 19(1)(g) specifically. So the Punjab and Haryana High Court has stated that when the state government will impose such restrictions, it is violating various provisions of the Constitution of India. Hence, we will strike it down. And the third argument which was put forward by the High Court was, by imposing such restrictions, we are going back to the license Raj, Inspector Raj, and by the state government, by imposing such restrictions, is erecting, it is basically implementing certain walls which will ensure that other population will not be able to get the jobs and the local population will be preferred over the other population. So these are some of the arguments given by the High Court. In addition to this, what are the counter arguments regarding such policies of the state governments? One, this is never in the interest of the private sector. Private sector will never like such kind of initiatives. Reason being, private sector, whenever they invest money in a particular state, they should be allowed to hire the best talent. I hope you understand. They should be allowed to hire the best talent. Whether it is from the same state or from the different state, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, private sector is always focused on the profitability. In order to get more profits, it is always best to hire the better talent rather than hiring a talent which is available in a region. So private sector might start running away from such states which will implement policies. Second, it is against the unity of the government, unity of India. It is against the unity of the India. You are trying to divide India into regions, that is the state-wise. One state will not allow the population from another state to migrate. This state will basically implement similar policy which will not allow the population from other state to migrate then. It is against the unity of India. And this will lead to competition between the states which will try to prohibit movement of the best minds, movement of the best human capital across Indian states. So these are some of the counter arguments which have been provided against such practices of the state governments. Done? So these are the various articles as well as the important concepts that I wanted to discuss which have appeared in today's international edition of Hindu newspaper. That's it from my side. If you like this initiative, hit the like button. We want to make this channel as a one-stop destination for all your UPSC requirements, and especially the newspaper analysis as a one-stop destination for your current affairs requirements. That's it from my side. If you like this initiative, hit the like button, and if you yet to join to our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe to it right now. Thank you. Have a great day.
NCERT books are unavoidable to crack the IAS exam. Not only is the content of these books authentic, but these books also help a civil services aspirant to build conceptual clarity. And most importantly, lots of questions in the civil services examination are directly asked from NCERT books. But the aspirants often find it difficult to cover these books, or worse, they even end up ignoring these books. We at Unacademy IAS English are going to make the reading and understanding of the NCERT books easier. We present NCERT Fundamentals course, a free initiative of Unacademy IAS English. What are the highlights of this program? Comprehensive coverage of the most relevant NCERT books for the civil services exam. Prelims and mains practice questions in each session to test your understanding of the fundamental concepts. This course begins from 12th of July every day at 6 p.m. right here on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel now.